Hello, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Just had a little bit of technical difficulties getting started there, but here we are. Thank you so much for joining us. This is another ArtistWorks Instructor Spotlight. My name is Marcus, and today we're going to be joined by the one and only Darol Anger, an absolute musical pioneer and, of course, a legend in the fiddle world. And Darol's been teaching at ArtistWorks since 2011, if you can believe that. So has taught so many students online with us, has done well over 4,200 video exchanges with his students and hundreds of lessons on his site. So we're excited to have him here with you today. The topic for this week that he picked is backing up vocalists with a fiddle. And so if you haven't checked it out yet, we've been posting mini lessons each day since last Sunday across all of our social channels and of course here on YouTube. And Darol brought on special guests Kenny White and Lindsay Liu to do some demonstrations on some great ideas on how to work that all out. And so he's going to go deeper on that today. We're also going to be talking a little bit about Darol's highly anticipated new album that's just come out, The Diary of a Fiddler #2. So we'll get some great stories from Darol on that. As we always do, if you have any questions for Darol, we're going to be taking the questions throughout the show. Just go ahead and drop them in the comments and we'll get to as many as we can. And of course, we always love to hear where you're tuning in from. So please tell us where you're joining us from today. And without any further delays, it's my great pleasure to introduce Darol Anger.
Hey,
Darol.
All right. I guess
I'll
just start in and play some tunes. Yeah. Starting in with Ride the Wild Turkey, a tune that I wrote in 1978. And then another tune, an actually older tune, Bill Monroe tune, called Stony Lonesome. All right. What else? I brought the 5-string fiddle today. The weather's changing fast around here in Tennessee, and fiddle has to be tuned up, retuned. Okay, there's a kind of a wild one-off version of Maiden's Prayer, which was written by a German woman in the middle 1800s, in the wrong key. Usually it's played in A. I've played it in D because I've got this extra string on the old 5-string fiddle. So yeah, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here on the fiddle. I've had a fantastic month of August. It's been very unexpectedly busy. I've taught at a big fiddle camp in western North Carolina, out in Brevard. That was really fun. The Blue Ridge Fiddle Camp, and played some shows in Vermont and some other places. Yeah, actually I was in Vermont twice in August, which, you know, if you live in Vermont, that's not a big deal, but since I don't live anywhere near Vermont, it was a little bit of a travel episode. So, yeah, I guess I'm just here to, you know, talk about my ArtistWorks Fiddle School, which, as Marcus mentioned earlier, has been going since 2000. It's really been since 2011, something like that, some amazing amount of years. So that means it's been just about, 15 years, something like that, of teaching. And when you do things for that long, stuff tends to build up. And I believe I've got over 600 lessons on the site. And then one of the things that makes the ArtistWorks experience unique and extra special and more of like a blue chip operation is the fact that you can get actually one-to-one video exchanges where you know, one of the students can you can make a video of yourself playing, you know, one of the lessons or basically anything, and then get a individualized video in reply from the whoever the teacher is, and that includes myself. So yeah, and those video exchanges are a huge part and become a gigantic part of the ArtistWorks experience. We've got, yeah, as Marcus said, I think I'm up to way over 4,000 of these video exchanges. And one of the things that you experience, you know, when you see these things day after day, and of course I've participated in every single one of them because I'm the one that responds to these videos, is that you know, people so often are struggling with the same issues, you know, with whatever instrument, but especially with fiddle. There's all, you know, there's the basic issues of just being able to figure out how to hold the thing, because this is not a natural position. Is to clamp something with your neck and then you know, and then have your arms basically above your heart, right? Like this. We just don't go around like this clamping anything as a habit, you know. So this is definitely a different position. Of course, since I've been doing this now, I've clocked 60 years this year of playing the violin. I've definitely, it feels like a more natural position to me, but I had to work pretty hard to just find ways to, you know, have this all feel natural. And it's, you know, I'm always working on it. You know, we always work on whatever. And then, of course, the bow hold is a thing that, you know, if you get on YouTube, people are like, there's thousands of YouTubes and learned treatises, you know, books have been written about how to hold the bow, the violin bow or the cello bow, the viola bow, all that stuff, how to hold this thing. And it's a constant subject of debate and research. So I'm of course I'm of the opinion that everything's got to be flexible, and yeah, but you can you know, hear all about it in my ArtistWorks program. But I think that's one of the strengths of the program, is that you really you know, you could come in at any time during the day or night and just either just, you know, pull up a lesson or make a video of yourself at 3 in the morning if you want to, in the basement, and send it in, and then you know, at some point you get a reply, a pretty specific reply to dealing with your problem. But I've seen enough of these beautiful folks, you know, just great, lovely players at all levels, from beginning to advanced, who you know, it's pretty much the same issues, and so I've actually, you know, learned some things. You know, you don't really learn anything until you've taught it. I think that's something that I've really discovered doing this. Yeah, the lessons are pretty much evenly divided between various techniques, just how to move the bow, or just, you know, what is involved with the fingers and different, you know, playing around the neck, all that kind of stuff. And then those techniques get usually attached to some kind of tune, so that we're actually playing a tune, playing music, as opposed to just doing exercises or things like that. There's usually fun tunes. And, lately I've been kind of exploring tuning, right? But exploring some of the old-time bowing techniques. These bowing patterns that tend to crop up in all kinds of fiddling, but especially Southern Appalachian bowing, and it's a real challenge. You know, that a lot of those tunes might sound simple, but when you get into the rhythm of it and really get the bowing together, it becomes very interesting. You know, not to say Byzantine, complicated thing. And I'm thinking about a tune that I just taught a couple of months ago on my site, which is very interesting. It's called The Golden Ticket, and it's a recent tune. It's a recent tune written by a fellow named Eric Merrill, who decided he was going to not become a professional old-time fiddle player, but he went back to school and became a high-powered lawyer, apparently, and so now he can afford to play fiddle anytime he wants, I think, in between, you know, fighting for people's rights and whatever it is that he's doing as a lawyer. But I think that's had something to do with the title of the tune, The Golden Ticket. I think he wrote it just before he went into the law. So I'll play a little bit of that, because there's got some interesting things about it. relatively simple sounding tune, but there's some very interesting things. We've got this ongoing feeling of just a duple meter. 1, 2, 3, 4. But the bowing is actually across that. So if we're hearing that, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Right, so that kind of contrasts with this. Right, so that's some very interesting things, and I kind of break that tune down into the bowing stuff. Yeah, a lot of times the great thing about an online school like this is that you can really you can take your time and break stuff down into very small component parts, and then people can move at completely their own pace. When they're trying to learn a tune. There's all this other stuff, and then of course the online school has all these extra tools like that. You can slow stuff down, or you can loop sections, and all this kind of things that make it so easy to learn stuff. A lot easier than dropping the needle on an LP. Back in my day when we were dodging the saber-toothed tigers and the woolly mammoths. But actually, yeah, I don't think we actually, yeah. In that time period, there were very few saber-toothed tigers left, so really, it wasn't really that big a deal. But every so often, you'd see one. All right, well, Marcus, what's up? What are we doing here?
Cool, yeah. So, we kind of just give you the floor on these spotlights to talk about whatever you want, but the weekly topic was backing up vocalists, and that's a really great topic. Maybe you could give some pointers, and of course, if you haven't caught it already, check out. There's a whole list of mini lessons that Darol did that we aired throughout the week. So check those out right here on our YouTube page to get some great advice. I understand demonstrating this sort of stuff solo might be a little bit more challenging, but do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. The whole idea, I think one of the wonderful things about any instrument really, but the fiddle is a great backup instrument. You have a lot of things that you can do, different kinds of sounds that you can make because you've got the bow, so you can do things that sound like a little bit like a guitar. You can play some kind of multiple string things, but you could also be another whole voice or two voices if you play two notes at once. So some of the rules, of course, of backing up anybody, singer or a lead instrument or whatever, are rules like, it's backup. It's not a lead, right? So we might be used to playing the melody over and over again, as fiddle players, or even as violin players. The violin is sort of specifically thought of as a melody type instrument. But we can also play melodies that support the main melody, whatever's going on. So first rule of thumb might just to be whatever kind of tune it is, or song, what's the mood? What's the mood of the song? What's the subject matter of the song? If it's a happy song about getting drunk and shooting people or something, and just having fun, just being in just general a general idiot, way downtown fooling around. They took me to the jail, all that stuff. So you might want to play kind of happy stuff, Right, way downtown, fooling around, they took me me to the jail. Right? You might, you know, you could play a little more ag. Right? You know, just active stuff that's kind of silly and has kind of a bluesy flavor. Whereas if you you have a sad song, like a song like Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Yeah. Right? You might not want to not want to play Yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away. Yeah, that doesn't really work very well. So, you know, slower line. You know, those kind of lines where you might not even be moving at all. Yeah. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it seems that here they are here to stay. I believe in yesterday. Right. So that's pretty, you know, basic kind of ideas there. But, you know, it always is good to, you know, start with that. Now, there's all kinds of tricks you can play. You know, one of the things that you probably want to avoid playing as a backup idea, you know, to the line is the melody. So it's good to learn the melody of whatever you're playing backup to so that you can avoid it, right? Now, a good way to start with that is, you know, you're like, oh, Rolling My Sweet Baby's Arms. They say that parents don't like me. They call away from your door. Right? So we're not going to play that. You know, we're not going to play the melody. We could play like a harmony. We could make a harmony and play it kind of low. They say your parents don't like me. You drove me away from your door. I had my life to live over again. They never go there anymore. Right? See, I went right to the melody. But there's the melody, so you can go. And you could be even, you know, not move quite as much as the melody. So that would be something that you could play under the melody, is some kind of simplified harmony that just, you know, goes along with the chords. You remember we've learned the chords. What is the harmonic situation that we're going to? So that's a whole thing that it's not as hard as it sounds. Usually, most of these songs are built on the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord, and it's pretty easy to hear which one it is. So, you know, if you puzzle that out, then you can do a lot. And, you know, we have a whole series of lessons in my school, which helps us figure out, you know, what notes to play within a chord, all that kind of stuff. You know, there's the arpeggios, right? And you know, we put numbers on each note. 1, 3, 5. 1 again. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right. So this stuff is fairly, you know, once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. So then we think about, like, well, what do we play? You know, like there's usually a big sections where the singer will stop singing. The singer can't just sing and sing and sing and sing because they have to breathe, and they're at the mercy of the lyrics. And usually the lyrics, I know your parents don't like me, big space. They throw me away from your door, great big space. If I had my life to live over, smaller space, I'd never go there anymore, big space, right? So yeah, what are we gonna, we can play in between. So we can, for that, you know, there's all kinds of MIDI melodies, and I've got a whole little lesson series on MIDI melodies. Right, those kind of just, you know, they're not like full fiddle tunes even. They're just like 3 or 5 or 4 or 5 note, right? Those kind of little licks that work, you know, in any key, and you can drop them in to the spaces between a singer singing. You can, and if that's a lot to ask, I think, which it can be, you know, at a high speed and everything like that. One of the best tricks that I've learned is to actually just take the last 2 notes of what the singer just sang and repeat them. So, I know your parents don't like me. Throw me away from your door. I'd my life to live over. I'll never go there anymore. Right? So you can do that. Just take those. And then, you know, a further iteration of that would be to play harmonies to what that melody was. I know your parents don't like me. Throw me away from your door. I've had my life to be over. I'll never go there anymore. Right? So things like that, you know, where you're just kind of goofing around, just filling with little answers. So those are the kind of, you know, cool little tricks that you can use to, you know, fit into, you know, the general, you know, situation of whatever that is, you know, and not get in the way, but really provide some support for whoever's, you know, out in front, you know, sticking their neck out, and helping them to not get it chopped off, right?
Very cool. Right on. Yeah. And hey, if anybody has any further questions, like anything specific you want to discuss about backups and that kind of thing, please feel free to just drop them in the comments here. Got one here from Julie. I'll put this one up on the screen. Would you ever advise the singer on what key to do, or do you always defer to them?
Oh, well, you have to defer to the singer. We have the ability to play in a lot of different keys, even though some keys are harder. F sharp or G flat, that's a little tough. But a singer, most singers are really right. Yeah. Oh, look at that. There's, yeah, Callahan says, what if the singer prefers the key F sharp? Well, that's where situations come in where we actually are treating the instrument almost more like a guitar, you know, because there, you know, this is a big blank space, right? It's just a big, it's like a big black hole, right? It's like 1 foot by 1 inch of like what, you know, you really have to, so much of the violin is just getting to know the various hand shapes that it takes to play your scales and notes and where they are on the instrument. But it is possible to do. We can sort of imagine frets and things that the guitar players and ukulele players, mandolin players take for granted, but we can imagine these places that. So if, you know, if we have something that we do in the key of G, for instance, then we can actually move that down. You know, right, something like that. So just moving our hand around to different places. Now, another place, you know, G flat, we can say, okay, well, I can play a lot of stuff. I find G on my D string with my first finger. All those relationships those maintain, you know, those are the same right across the fingerboard, no matter where I put my first finger. Right, so learning to, just move, there's really only 4 kind of frameworks, because I've organized it so that, we think about, okay, well, what's the key of the tune? And so we're going to, whatever key we're playing in, maybe the first finger is going to play that note that the key is in. So if we're in the key of A, for instance, right, I can find A with my first finger somewhere on the instrument. And then I know that the third finger is going to be a third. The first finger on the next string is going to be a fifth. Right? And the seventh, all the different sevenths are going to be another third finger. Right? And then I move it down to A flat. Right? It's all the same shapes, So really, we're well, yeah. It's a little bit of it's more of a challenge, and that's why not everybody in the world, like everybody in the world plays guitar, but not everybody in the world plays the fiddle. And if we're a unique tribe of maniacs who keep trying, it's never going to be perfect, but we're going to try to get it as perfect as we can. And yeah, I feel real proud to be a part of this tribe of people that just keep trying, play this thing. So yeah, having it helps to have you can't see it over there, but to have like an instrument such as a mandolin or even a ukulele is good if you tune it to the same pitch as a violin. You can do that if you have the right kind of strings. Now here I'm losing my headphones, but that's not going to bother you guys because I'm using a microphone which is cleverly hidden outside the thing. But for instance, yeah, like here's a fun instrument here that I use a lot to, for just writing and to visualize the fingerboard because it's tuned. Well, it's tuned a little lower, but it's all in fifths. Right, so I can see what's going on. I see the frets. I see little dots. So I can. Yeah, having frets is kind of like civilization, right? It's like you sign. It's like almost like you're signing a contract up here with the. This is a little set piece that I presented within the context of my school, where you're tuning. You tune up here. If you get that in tune, you get the open string in tune. Then you can be reasonably sure that all the way up the neck, it's going to be in tune, right? It's like little clauses in the contract. But with this instrument, well, you can get the open strings can be in tune, but that's no guarantee that anything else is going to be in tune. You have to do that yourself. You kind of have to kill your own food and build a fire and cook it yourself, right? It's kind of like the wild. So that's it's a good, very good exercise in self-sufficiency. All right, but yes, you do really have to, but the singer is really a lot more limited as far as their range goes. And a lot of people, I see a lot of the pop singers, actually, if you listen to them, they probably only have a range of like a minor third. Their voice only sounds good like between. All right. Now, if we're recording or something like that, there's no law against, and if somebody wants to sing something in A flat or G flat, there's no law that says you have to keep the instrument tuned to G. You can tune it down a half step. You can just go down. You can just that. Right? Yeah, that's one of the beauties of, you know, a string instrument is you can tune it different. Now, I wouldn't recommend tuning much farther down than a whole step or maybe a minor third, but you know, you'll find unexpected resonances in your instrument when you do that. Also, you know, it's not great to tune up, although the old-time fiddle players actually do tune their low strings up a whole step a lot of times. And of course, we've got a section in the school on what we call scordatura, or the Italians call it scordatura. The Appalachians call it cross tuning, right? Where you're just tuning the instrument to a chord, right? So, yeah, let's see. There we go. There's, what's that? I tune that all the way down. If you haven't done this, I recommend it. Trying it. Right, it really makes the instrument kind of ring out. Of course, you know, trying to improvise when you're in a different kind of tuning can be a little scary. You get unexpected things happening that you might not want. But if you're playing tunes that you know, are designed to be played in cross tuning, it's just a wonderful sound, and just having the instrument just kind of ring out in that one key is just a beautiful thing. We talk about that, of course, in the you know, I do a lot of interviews with other fiddle players, great fiddle players, which are up on the site. You can access them. They're a little tough to find. I think we're fixing that this fall. Actually, you know, everything is going to be completely findable, you know, throughout the entire school soon. But yeah, I have a bunch of interviews with other great players who, you know, talk a lot about, you know, how they do things, and that's something I was really happy about in the context of having the school, was being able to, you know, I was thinking, man, I'd like to have a radio show where I interview other fiddle players. We talk about fiddling and we play and do all that stuff. But now I have my own kind of closed circuit TV show, and it's even better because you can actually watch people play, and it's just a blast. And we get kind of a treasury of, you know, there's a couple of interviews with folks, great players who are actually no longer with us. So that's a very valuable thing, I think, to have that available on the site. Yeah,
great stuff. Yeah, and like you said, ArtistWorks is about to get a massive platform update. We're completely overhauling everything with modern technology, so it's going to be a real treat for anybody that's already a member, and certainly a great opportunity to check it out if you haven't before. And of course, all those great interviews will be surfaced and available to find. We've got a few more in the can coming soon as well. And that actually kind of sets us up for a nice segue to talk about Diary of a Fiddler #2, where you've sort of pulled in a whole bunch of people in your orbit. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the origin of this? This is an amazing album.
That's absolutely true. And what's cool is, you know, all these interviews are basically like, there's a lot of duet playing, you know, just two fiddles. You can really hear and see what both of us are doing. And that whole duet playing thing, you know, is something that's been dear to my heart for many, many years now. It's just that idea two fiddle players can be a whole band. I've got a record out with Bruce Malsky where we just mostly are playing two fiddles. But this new record, and I'm let's see, do I have a copy here? I must have, right? Yeah. Oh man, I even got LPs. This is so wild. This is definitely a different thing for me. Um, I'm of the. Oh boy. Okay. What happened here? Okay. Hey folks, oh, this is so live. It's liver than anybody could think. Yeah, okay. The headphones have now managed to tangle themselves in the wheels of my chair. That's amazing.
I got you covered here, Darol.
Yeah, it's almost like
Check it
they're
out.
alive themselves. Here we go. Okay, well there it is. There, yeah, fantastic. Um, Here it is, Diary of Fiddler, the empty nest. So we got it LPs and we got double CD set, and this is something that I'm really happy about. It's duets with who's on here? Brittany Haas, who also has an ArtistWorks Fiddle School here. She's amazing and doing very well with that. A great former student of mine. With Alex Hargreaves, who also has a great fiddle school here. And yeah, Mike Barnett, who was one of the most talented fiddle players of his age and has had a tragic brain injury, which keeps him from playing. So, I recorded something with Mike before he had that, and it might be one of the last things that he actually put on, committed to recording. And it's just a beautiful thing to have him. Casey Dreesen, one of the great fiddle players of all time, chopping genius. One of the techniques which I cover, of course, in my school is this thing called chopping, which is generating rhythms. This whole technique, which is a relatively recent technique, which was taught to me by the originator of that, Mr. Richard Green, great fiddle player. And Casey has really taken that to unheard of lengths and widths. So, yeah, he's great. So Casey's on there. Bronwyn Keith Hines, who is no stranger to some of the older students on my site because I had her as a guest teacher for a few months, off and on, back in 2020 and 2022. Great fiddle player who's now got her own band. She's fantastic. Tristan Claridge, John Mylander. John Mylander is the fiddle player and utility infielder for Bruce Hornsby. Great player, former student also. Jana Moynihan, one of the great Celtic fiddlers of all time, just really great. Kathleen Parks, who is the lead songwriter, singer, and shredding fiddle player for the group Twisted Pine, which is kind of a pop group that uses bluegrass instruments to do what they do, and it's absolutely fantastic what they can do. Anyan Pelta, who is kind of the premier fiddle player in Colorado. She's the go-to, for everybody who's making a record or doing anything musically ambitious, and all along the Front Range in Colorado. Anyan is the gal. I worked with her a little bit in the past. So yeah, all these former students, basically. So it feels like a real completion of a cycle or something like that to have this record come out. And today is the day that it has come out. They're shipping it even as we speak. The elves at Ad Europa Records up at the Bandcamp Castle. There are they're packing away the orders and shipping it out, or you can just download a digital download of the entire record, which is actually 2 CDs, because I just couldn't bring myself to edit it down too far. There's just so much good music in there. I just went ahead and said, okay, it's It's just going to be what it is. It's going to be a little bit long. You kind of have to like fiddles, in order to like this record. But if you do, it's an amazing document because there's just so much great fiddling and great playing, interaction, lots of improvising, but playing on these tunes that I've written over the last 50 years, actually. Yeah, that's a lot of tunes. And it was fun trying to match the duet partner to the tune. That was one of the most crazy things, just trying to figure out who would be, enjoy this tune, like how, I got some, with Brittany, of course, I'm having this really intense rock and roll kind of like, that kind of crazy stuff, Brittany is so good at. She's great at just playing really, intensely and loudly and with perfect time. And again, I've done with Casey. We did a tune that had a lot of chopping in it, and his time is so excellent that we wound up playing kind of a slow one, sort of a gospel tune. Right? So there's a lot of that kind of stuff. And, there's some very graceful, beautiful playing from some of the other folks that it's lovely. Yeah, well, you can hear a lot of it. You can hear it all now. You can audition it over at the Bandcamp site where we're selling it from. And that is, coincidentally, this is Bandcamp Friday. So as soon as we finish here, why don't you just head over to Bandcamp. Bandcamp Friday is a thing that happens every couple of months where Bandcamp just decides to not take a commission from sales of all the records, merchandise, all the material that artists, musicians mostly, sell on Bandcamp. It's a kind of a clearinghouse for musical artists. It's not really a record company. It's a different thing, but it enables us to have a platform where we can sell stuff. And then every so often they'll say, okay, we're not even going to take a commission today. Everything that the album sales generate goes straight to the artist. And today is one of those days, coincidentally. And so yeah, I think that's a cool idea. And so yeah.
So yeah, congratulations on the release. Very cool, and yeah, great timing for the Bandcamp day. I got to ask, so with that many different people and different duets going on, like what did the recording process look like for that? Were you did this happen over like sort of many weeks and months, or what was the process there?
Yeah, well, it did take about 2 years to put all this together. And most of the material was recorded in my living room because, if it's just two fiddles, you just put up two mics and make sure that you're not too close to a window or some reflective object that's going to make the make the fiddle sound funny, But yeah, we strategically used blankets and sofas and other articles of furniture to, kind of deaden the sound of the room. And so, you put those mics pretty close to the instruments, you can do it, with just two people, you can be really flexible. I did do some recording. I had to go to where some of the folks were. So there's a couple of places that I used a studio up in Boston, a couple of really nice studios there, and a great studio in Nashville, an actual studio where we had more people. We had a trio with John Mylander and Ella Jordan, both incredible players. And I thought, man, I just don't want to like have to deal with like three people. Two people is fine. I can deal with that. I can like reach over and push the button myself. But with three people just trying to make sure that everybody's sounding right and all the mics. So I went to studio for that. There's no shortage of great studios here in Nashville. Uh, that's for sure. So that wasn't really a difficult thing. But most of the stuff was just recorded in the living room. I own a couple of nice microphones, and it's part of the thing. I've been doing this long enough so that I've learned a little bit about recording technology, and so I think that I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. Of course, I ran a lot of the tracks by people that are qualified to actually make decisions about EQ and compression and all the different little things you do, and got some advice from people I trust. So yeah, it is called, I see there's a question, Callahan, it is called Diary of a Fiddler. It's the sequel. And again, let me just walk over here to my, my capacious library of old CDs. This is a sequel to this record, which is out on Compass Records. Yeah, I'll pull it out here. It's kind of reflective. We got a lot of light. But so that is the original Diary of a Fiddler, which was myself playing duets with a bunch of different great fiddle players. You can see probably Vassar Clements, Stuart Duncan, John Hartford, Richard Green. Anyway, and some great Martin Hayes, Susie Thompson, and Natalie McMaster. And the list goes on pretty long. Matt Glazer. All these great fiddle players. And this was back in the previous century. This was 26 years ago in 1999. This came out. And this was sort of celebrating the fact that we were really building a community of international fiddlers. Everybody was, we were able to communicate through the internet, and also at these fiddle camps that have been burgeoning, going on for the last, it's getting on 30 years now. We've had these fiddle camps. It used to be just fiddle contests. You'd have to go to a fiddle contest in order to hang out with other fiddle players. And, so there's all this, there's usually a contest vibe. And, a lot of people would just avoid the contest part completely, and they just hang out in the parking lot and jam. But, once we started having these camps, there was like more of a teaching vibe, rather than the contest vibe. And everybody was supporting each other and like helping each other learn more about these different styles of fiddling. And, that was, that was great for me, because I really started learning about how to teach at these camps, by observing other fiddle players and how they taught, and just, sharing information not only about fiddling in general, but how to teach anything, music. So that was pretty cool. So that's pretty great. So yeah, I'm seeing all these nice comments. I see Julie, who is a student on the site. Julie is an amazing person. I just think the world of her. And
Yeah, I got a lot of
rad.
positive feedback here. And I think we're all going to go and get ourselves a copy of this right away. I'm lucky enough to have one now. I noticed that you've got the 2 CD set. You called one hot and one cool.
Oh yeah. One of them is kind of explosive. Well, there's a lot of kind of explosive playing on this, and then there's a lot of very just quiet and just lovely kind of interweaving, And I thought, well, okay, maybe you're in the mood for some really just pounding, just fireworks, fiddle fireworks, and so you could put on the hot CD, or maybe you just want to just hang out, it's the evening and you just want to hear some beautiful interweaving stuff, and so there's a CD for that as well. So yeah, and so many of the people that are on that record are, I've interviewed. In fact, I just put up a big interview with Bronwyn, Keith Hines. This was actually, I've done 2 interviews with her now. We had revisited, one when she was still playing with a group called Mile 12, which is a great bluegrass group, and now she's got her own group, and there's so many things happening. She was playing with Molly Tuttle, so we had a revisit and got to play one of the tunes that is on the record. Video live, it's a completely different take on it, and I think actually, if I may say so, I think that I think it might be a little bit better version on the video that's up on the school on the ArtistWorks site. So you have like different ways that you can see all the different ways that we go back and forth, play, support each other as one person takes the lead and the other person starts backing up. So that's also a great way to kind of just observe, in a very clear setting. There's no other instruments, there's no drums, there's no quick cuts back and forth. The director is not direct. Oh, I want to look at this person's nose, oh, but I want to see what they're doing over here. You can see everything. It's like there's just one camera pointed at both of us, fairly close. So that's kind of great. You don't really realize how much you appreciate that, as a player, until you see, just the one camera thing, just point it at the musicians and then leave it. So it's kind of a nice thing. Yeah.
Simple is better sometimes, for sure.
Yeah.
So, would you mind playing us a little bit more, maybe some more samples from the album, perhaps?
Yeah, you only get half of the records, but all right, yeah. Well, I also seeing is a question about how I put together. There's one cut on the record that has 24 fiddle players, and I put that together. It's called Liza Jane, which is the only non-original tune on the record, which I also have as a lesson on the school site. It's a very popular, very well-known, and old, and uniquely American song. In fact, some friends of mine are about to start in on a movie documentary on Liza Jane, on the tune, the song Liza Jane. They're going to make a documentary on that, and that's exciting because I think they might use a little bit of my recorded version of Liza Jane, which is could start as just a So there's so many ways of doing this. We could do it in a lot of different keys. I think I have it on the school in two different, in A and D. And I might have it in G as well. Right, so there's all different ways to play this tune, and but on the record I did it in the key of E flat, E flat, and it's sort of like a New Orleans kind of second line. So that's fun because you get 24 people just blasting away. Just being, it's kind of like a Mardi Gras parade or something like that. That's an amazing thing. It's been proven time and again that a lot of fiddles together sound great. You have your symphony orchestras. I mean, Mahler, Beethoven, all those guys, they all knew that, and utilized the sound of many instruments playing together, and it can really be an exciting thing. And so, that's the one kind of funny thing on the record that's just maniacal. And
That sounds super fun. Awesome. Well, we're kind of getting to about the hour mark here. So thanks so much, Darol, for being here today and taking some time to rap and play and teach. And of course, thank you for the years of dedication for teaching. I mean, beyond ArtistWorks, you've been teaching for such a long time and made such an impact in the fiddle world and music in general. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Marcus. I mean, it's really an amazing opportunity to get to reach out so far, through the online experience. It's really and not only that, not it's just not just a one way, but to have this two-way thing. I've made some very dear friends through just back and forth, over and over again with these video exchanges and all that kind of stuff, and also being able to have a platform where I get together with fiddle players, great fiddle players, interview them, and put that up on a video. There's some place for all this stuff to live, and it's just an amazing thing. It's just quite a cultural treasure, and that's what I would call it.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we love having you as part of the family, and for anybody tuning in or just catching this after the fact, come join us. Yeah, come send Darol a video and get your fiddle playing where you want it to be. And it's all about the journey, right? Is there anything else you want to leave our guests today with? Anything to promote? Anything coming up on your headlights?
Oh well, there's various festivals and things coming up. I'll be at the International Bluegrass Music Association convention this month. I'll also be at a great music festival called Fresh Grass in Massachusetts. I know that a lot of people, live other places besides Massachusetts and Tennessee. So but I'll be touring around the country with my band, Mr. Sun, playing Duke Ellington's Nutcracker Suite with our 4-piece string band. We're doing a whole the whole big band, all the big band arrangements of Duke Ellington's version of P.I. Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Suite in December. So look for that. And just I'm really looking forward to just again I've got so many ideas for lessons, themes. I'm working on and these things can really balloon into like very ambitious projects. That I'm working on a thing called I'm calling ragology for the ArtistWorks thing, where I'm just going to go through. I'm going to interview a bunch of people, fiddle players, about the rag, right? Which is a kind of style of music that it's a little bit more amorphous around the edges, but most people, well, okay, that's a rag. I know when I hear it, but why is that? And all the different ways of playing through chord progressions that are rags, and so that means I got to learn a whole bunch of rags way better than I knew them, because when you teach them, you really got to know how to play them, because you got to be able to play them the same way at least 3 times, because otherwise people get confused. So all those kind of things. I'm working on more bluegrass. iconic bluegrass solos taken by great bluegrass players. Again, transcribing those and learning them myself, and then teaching them to people. And yeah, so there's so much to do here, and yeah, it's very exciting. You know, I just feel like I've gotten so much better as a player through teaching, you know, over the last, you know, whatever it's been, 12, 13 years at ArtistWorks. So there you have it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. And thank you everybody that joined us here today. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. We do these live streams as much as we can. We've been on a pretty steady schedule all year. Right now, with this big platform update that's coming, we're kind of all hands on deck. So the schedule's a little spotty, but if you just tune into the channel, we're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to do these fun shows. So keep tuned. And yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet, check out artistworks.com. Check out Darol Anger's Fiddle School. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you all again very soon. And thanks again, Darol.
Great, Marcus. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
See you later.
Okay.